Hello, this is Debbie from cariadcards.co, and today I'm going to show you how I made this card. I don't know whether the light is going to catch it, but what are these called? Stamens? I'm sure they've got a biological name. They've been done in gold embossing powder so that they just catch the light as it shines on it. So, as ever, 6 by 6 inch card blank that I buy in a pack, and then I've cut a piece of very vanilla cardstock to 14 centimetres by 14 centimetres, which in Imperial is just over 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches. The first thing I'm going to do is my scoring just along the edges to give it some definition. So I'll bring in my simply scored board, and you've usually got, when you've cut card, a good side and a side that will go towards the back. So I'm putting the good side, which will be the front of the card, down, face down, and I'm going to start this time. Normally I often start about 1/8 of an inch down, but because I'm doing 2 lines, I'm going to take them right to the corners this time. So there's the edge of my card, so I'm looking for the first score line from the edge of the card and just run my scoring tool down and then go 1/8 of an inch into the next scoring line and go down. Turn the card 90 degrees, edge of the card, first score, oops, goodness me, jumped out that time. That's because I'm sitting quite far behind it, but the second scoring line has covered it up. Turn 90 degrees, first scoring line, and second, and finally right, and that should be all of the scoring done. So I can put my scored board away. Right, for this I've used, well, in fact for nearly the whole card, I've used the Everything Eleanor stamp set. So I've used that as the main swirl, those as the main flowers, and that just as an individual central flower. So crumb cake ink, and I'm going to just get my foam pad so that I've got something to press down to, and a bit of paper, so foam pad, a bit of paper on the top, and I do find it easier to stand up to stamp, but obviously that's not going to be possible today. Now, these are really gorgeous stamps. I've got the wood mounted ones that, to be honest, I do prefer. I just find them a lot easier. You haven't got to find an acrylic block every time to mount them, and there's no risk of them slipping or sliding about. Right, so if you have a look at this, I've done this sort of more towards the top left hand corner. So I've got the swirl coming down here and room for the sentiment at the bottom. So it's a bit of just judgment really as to where you think it should go. So let's commit to there. It's always a bit nerve-wracking when you first put it down, because you think, oh, have I got it in the right place? It's only when you take it off you actually know. Give it a good bit of pressure, but don't move it about. Right, so that is slightly different to the other one, but that's absolutely fine. There's no problem with that. Okay, so I'm going to put that aside for a second just to dry. Bring in some more very vanilla card, and I'm going to stamp 3 of this flower. So 1. You do get a beautiful, clean, crisp stamp from this set. 2. And can I just get the last one on? Hopefully. 3. Perfect. And I'm going to stamp 1 from this set. So if we go back, we've got 1, 2, 3, and 1 small one. In fact, I could, because I'm going to cut these out, we should be more economical with our card. I could pop that onto there. Perfect. Right, now what I need to do is what they call fussy cut. That just means cut it out by hand. So, pair of snippers, and I would just go around carefully, trying to get as close to this outer line as possible. You tend to get a neater cut if you don't see too much of the unstamped card, but you also do want to include the line, otherwise you're not going to have sort of a definite outer edge for your flower. Now, I'm not going to make you sit and watch me cut that out. I'm sure you all know how to do that. So I have 3 already cut out here. That saved a lot of time. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, where am I? There's the card. I want to get these, I don't know what you call them. Hopefully somebody can tell me. I know that the stamens is the bit that they stick onto, but I don't know what the actual end bits are. How awful is that? Right, what I did for that was I've just got a little glue pen that you can pick up from a craft shop, and just coloured in these end bits that I don't know the name of. The beauty of the glue pen is when it's wet it goes on and looks blue. It dries clear, so don't worry about that. But it's good because you can actually see exactly what you've done. Right, and then I've got my gold embossing powder. Oh my goodness, I've done it again. I've forgotten to use my stamping embossing buddy. Oh, shocking. Let's get a new flower because I really should have done that. Not setting a very good example, am I, today? It really is worth doing that. I get so excited about embossing, I just run ahead. Right. I will have to do all of these because although I cut them out, I didn't actually prep any with embossing powder. So we will have to emboss them live. I'll have to use the one that I've put the glue on. And just hope for the best, really. Right, so there's one. I would do each one individually. If you use Versamark ink, if you use Versamark ink to do your embossing, then that will stay dry for quite a long time. So you haven't got to rush, but because I'm using a glue pen, that will start to dry. So I need to just do each one. Put the embossing powder on. Remember not to sneeze or cough because the embossing powder will go everywhere. Right, that's, yeah, can you see the difference? Look at that. Now that, oh, fingers and thumbs, can't pick them up. That's the one that I used my embossing buddy on, and that's the one that I didn't. Now I can get some of that off by flicking it, but even so, it's not as clear an image as that one is. Never mind, what you can do, there's always a way of rectifying things. Just get a little paintbrush, just be careful not to knock off the embossing powder from where you want it. Also be careful not to blow too hard. You do need to blow just to knock it off, but don't blow too hard or this will be everywhere. So I'm not going to get as clear an image on that one as I would have liked, but I think we've rectified it quite a bit. So on these last two, remember, I'm going to use my embossing buddy, pop my glue on them. Hope you can see this on the camera. It's hard to know exactly where the camera's pointing. I know it sort of picks up this middle area. Right. It's Sunday morning today, and I've got the morning to myself to craft. Hubby's having a lie-in. I'm not sure what he's doing, reading his paper probably. That's if he's awake. The dog's been fed and walked, and she's just relaxing. So hopefully nobody's going to come along today, and I'm going to have plenty of time to start experimenting, coming up with some new card designs. And this one, sorry about how long it's taking me. Right, okay, that's all four embossed with embossing powder on. Okay, perfect. Right, put your embossing powder away. Oh, I forgot to say, although you've probably picked it up, this is the gold embossing powder, which is really gorgeous. It just gives that bit of shine without looking gaudy. I just think it looks very elegant. Alright, need to get that off there because as soon as I put the heat on, it's going to emboss the top of this. In fact, I might just put a spare scrap of paper on. No, we'll be brave and go with it. Okay, now, because those are so small, if I turn on my heat tool, that, and I know from experience from when I did this earlier, it just went flying off the desk. So I'm just going to find something just to hold it down with. Now, to put up with noise, I've got 4 of these to do. Starting to change already. That's the first one done. Ooh, see, it's blowing away. Let's get the next one. Oh, I haven't got long enough fingernails to pick these up with. And the third large flower that's now rolling away. And the final one. Okay, as soon as it started to melt, take your heat tool away. Goodness me, look what... that's gone through quite a few layers. Goodness me. So yeah, just be careful when you use your heat tool. Right, now what I have forgotten to bring, it's in the other room, is the bone folder because I want to get a bit of lift on these. Oh, now I've got a frog in my throat, so I'm just having a look, seeing what I could use. It's not ideal. I'm going to use the edge of my scissors. I really should be using the bone folder, but if I'm careful I can just get a bit of lift. Bone folder definitely is better. It's not so harsh on the card, and obviously you don't risk accidentally slicing it, but it is worth trying to get a little bit of lift, a bit of dimension. Just really, because there's only one layer of card on this, I haven't done a lot of matting and layering. I wanted to get some dimension in a different way. Right. Gosh, I'm surprised at how much that's lifted. If you haven't ever tried heat embossing, it really is worth a go. It's a very simple technique to use, but so effective, and you can use it on whole stamped images. So I could have done the whole of that swirl embossed in gold. In fact, that would have looked lovely. Or you can just, as I have, just pick up little highlights. You can, especially with something like that glue pen, you can just draw and highlight the exact areas you want. Right, I think that will do. So I'm going to take my card, I'm going to pop a bit of glue on the back of this, and you can use, oh, I've got some stamped ink on the back, luckily nobody's going to see that. You can use glue, you can use snail, you can use double-sided adhesive, whatever you find works for you to stick your layers on. Right, I'm not going to put any in the middle. As long as I've got it around the edges, it will stick, and then I won't get any raised lumpy bits. Okay, make sure your card opens the right way. I'm sure you've all done the same as me. Put your layer on, made a beautiful card, and realised it's opening upside down or back to front. Okay, and then all I'm going to do is use some dimensionals to put my flowers on. I'm going to first of all just position them. I like to be absolutely sure that they look how I want them, that they're sitting where I want them to sit. It's easy to move them around now, but of course once you've committed, you're a bit stuck. Okay, and pop that in the middle. Am I happy with that arrangement? Yes, I am. So just pop a dimensional on the back. Oh, I should be so glad when my nails do start to finally grow. I tend to do all my housework and washing up without rubber gloves, and since I've started filming I've realised how awful my nails have been, so I have treated myself to a pair of rubber gloves and hopefully they'll start to grow. Right, last one. And then all we've got to do is the greeting. Or you could, if you want, just leave it like that. Oh, I should have moved that along a bit further than I wanted. Can I get it off? Oh, not easily, I'll have to leave it. You could have moved that swirl down so it was more centralised, and then you wouldn't necessarily have to put a greeting on. I did want to put a greeting on, so that's fine. So what I'm going to do is get a bit of card, and I've got just a start. This is from a retired set. It just says for you, but it says for you from me, and I don't particularly want the from me. So I'm going to use my Stampin' Up marker pen, and I've got to find the right end. That's it, the end with the brush. And then I'm just going to side on, using the edge of it, just colour in the bit of the greeting I actually want. And how clever's that? So that gives you quite a versatile greeting. Now, what I did find out when I did this earlier is it's very easy to run your marker pen over the bit you don't want, and then you end up with splodges. So I'm going to just put my fingernails there so that as the brush runs past, it doesn't mark the greeting underneath. And don't worry about rushing this, because if it dries up, all you've got to do is just huff on it, huff and puff. Pop the top back on my marker pen and stamp. There you go. You see, it hasn't picked up anything from this bottom bit, and I've just got the for you. Now I'm going to use my modern label punch just to take this out and just find a place where it fits the best. Okay. Oh, that was a bang. Now on this one, around the edge and around here, I used my finger sponge dauber, which I popped into my crumb cake and just sponged around the edges. I'm just going to lay this over here and see whether I want to do the same or whether I want to keep that there. Oh, decisions. I think I might put just a little bit around the edge of that label just to make it stand out. It would help if you open this the right way. So just dip that in there and just gently run it along there. It's such a quick technique, but again it just gives you that visual extra dimension, separates it off the same coloured card. And when you are using layers of the same coloured card, it is useful to be able to make them look different from one another and to add some extra height and depth. So I'm just going to pop, yes, I'm pleased with that, pop a dimensional there and there, take that off. Oh, nails. Just pop that centrally, and there's your Everything Eleanor card with crumb cake, very vanilla cardstock, and I think that's lovely. I really like that one, and that's the original one with the sponging on, so you can do whichever one you like the look of, really. Thank you very much for joining me, and it's goodbye from Debbie at cariadcards.co.